Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are going to be talking about one specific topic, and we might dabble in a bit of ETH because it relates to ETH a little bit, but this is called Bitcoin dominance. You can find this chart by doing BTC.D on TradingView, and it will show you this chart. I pretty much just drew a Fibonacci retracement from, just redo this from the top to the bottom, allowing you to get some support and resistance levels for this recent move, or estimated support and resistance are not always going to work. Like as you can see here, it kind of bumped around, where here it went a little bit over before dipping down, but in general it shows the general direction that Bitcoin dominance is going. And the reason why we talk about Bitcoin dominance is because, since some will say it's August or September of 2022, I would argue that it is closer to 2021 that Bitcoin dominance has been steadily increasing. And pretty much all that means is that during this period of time, the percentage of the total crypto market cap that is Bitcoin has been increasing. So currently, about 62% of the market cap of the entire crypto market cap is Bitcoin. Whereas back in, let's take a random date, 2017, 2018, that was about 37%. But to get a better image of how, or just to get a more complete image, I like to add in the dominance of the two most populous stable coins, which is Tether and Circle, USDC and USDT. And the reason I do that is because a lot of the times when you hear people talk about stable coins, they talk about it from an altcoin bias perspective. And what I mean from that is a lot of the times when influencers on YouTube or Twitter talk about an increase in supply of stable coins, they often correlate that to new investors putting money into the market. But if Bitcoin dominance is going up while those stablecoin dominances are going up, what that means is that investors are taking their money out of altcoins, or they are de-risking from altcoins in a risk-off section of the market, which we are currently in, which is why the S&P and other risk assets, not even related to crypto, have been making such similar moves, is because we are in a risk-off period of time. And just because there is an increasing supply of stablecoins in the market doesn't mean that it's new investors coming into the market. And we can see that by the increasing trend of Bitcoin dominance and the increasing trend of Bitcoin dominance with the top two stablecoins. And if you guys didn't know, USDC and USDT, Circle and Tether, have about 97% of the stablecoin supply in the total cryptoverse, let's call it. So it's a pretty decent, or it's a better image than just looking at Bitcoin dominance as a whole. And like I said earlier, this is why I argue that Bitcoin dominance has been in an uptrend since about 2021, because as you can see, when we include our stable coins, this obviously becomes a bottom. This is now a higher low. That's now a higher low. And why is that important? Well, if you go over to ETH Bitcoin, it's pretty much the percentage of ETH's market cap compared to Bitcoin market cap. And the reason that's important is because this chart shows pretty much shows the exact opposite. Oh, that's not the Bitcoin dominance chart. BTC.D pretty much shows the exact opposite of the Bitcoin dominance chart. Since 2021, Bitcoin dominance has pretty much been increasing, and for ETH, since 2021, it peaked in May of 20, or you could say it peaked in 2021, had a higher high, but its first peak was in May 2021, which was the first time, I keep on switching to the wrong chart, my bad guys, but dominance, May 2021 was the same time that I say that the Bitcoin dominance trend first started. And the reason why that's important is because if you know that ETH's market cap is going to top out at about 50% of Bitcoin's market cap, and it's going to bottom at about point 0.1 to around 0.1 to even where we are now, 0.14, 0.13-ish. if you know that it's eventually going to go up to the 0.5 based on past historical data, it's a much smarter in terms of you have less risk if you invest in this section than you do in this section. Because obviously, if you invested in Ethereum in May of 2021, let's go to the ETH chart real quick. May of 2021, at $4,000. Let's grab this real quick. I think it's in text. No, it's not. Oh shit, price range. You would currently be down about 50%. But if you invested into Bitcoin in May of 2021, which would have been, let's grab that, July, May, say it's like right here, you would be up about 80%. And that's kind of the message, or whenever I talk about altcoins or how I invest in the cryptocurrency market, I like to portray it as, like, yes, altcoins can get you more profits compared to Bitcoin over a shorter period of time, but in the long-term grand scheme of things, it's better to just invest into Bitcoin if you don't understand what this chart means, or if you don't understand what this chart means. And if you do understand what this chart means, it means that the lower we get on this side, the closer we get to this bottom line right here, the less risky your investment into altcoins is. And the same thing applies for here. The lower we, or the closer we get to this support level, the less risk you take on when you buy ETH compared to buying Bitcoin. And we can do some, not there, Solana, same thing. Like, for instance, you can kind of see the similarities in the Solana dominance divided by Bitcoin dominance compared to Solana, or compared to ETH dominance divided, that's not ETH dominance, compared to ETH dominance divided by Bitcoin dominance. We have this first peak up, have that first peak up, and then we have a drawdown to the range low, drawdown to the range low, and then Solana had its movement all the way up. This was the meme cycle craze, or the quote-unquote meme cycle craze. This was Ethereum's NFT craze back in 2021. And then once they got to about, for Ethereum, it's about 50% market cap. For Solana, it's about 7% market cap. They top, and they bleed against Bitcoin. And when I say bleed against Bitcoin, I'm not saying that Solana or Ethereum's values are going to go down, even though they have been going down. What I'm saying is that compared to Bitcoin's price change as a percentage, Solana's price change is going to be less than that. So like if Bitcoin increases 5% tomorrow, I would expect Solana to increase less than 5%. But if Bitcoin decreases 5% tomorrow, I would expect Solana to decrease more than 5%. And that's what these red candles are. Anytime Bitcoin increases at a higher percentage rate than Solana, we get a red candle. And that's the same thing for this ETH chart over here. And the key differences between these two charts is the kind of, I guess you could say, maturity, if that's not the right word to use, but you still have, I expect, another 70% drawdown compared to Bitcoin. Now, does that mean that, or for Solana, now does that mean Solana is going to lose 70% of its value? No. And the same thing with ETH. It's not as risky because we are about to hit the range lows, but that is about another 20% decline compared to Bitcoin. I'm not saying that ETH is going to go down that far, or that ETH's price is going to decrease another 20% compared to US dollars, but compared to Bitcoin or Satoshis, it will decrease about 20%. And if you guys have any questions, please make sure to let me know.